you have your books and everything already?
I do, yeah.
Alright.
Yeah.
Did you attend one of the classes already, the cram, the code?
Yeah, the ethics.
What's that?
The ethics, yeah.
Oh, awesome, okay. We'll go in here real quick for some reason. You're the first one here.
Hello.
Second one. Your name?
My name is Michael.
Goldrum.
Yes.
Do you have your books already, Michael?
No.
Just give me one moment.
Yeah, thanks.
Aaron, what's the last four of your social?
9809.
Sandberg?
Yeah.
How you doing?
Okay, if I can get you both to come sign in with me, that would be great. So every day you'll sign in on 3 forms. The first form is your individual form, the second form will be the class list, and then when you leave, before you leave at night, you wanna sign out on the blue sheet, which is usually passed out at the end of the class. Don't leave without signing or else you don't get credit. The keys to the restrooms are in the duckies.
Okay.
Here on the counter, and then the bathrooms are right outside this door to the left. So you're welcome to use the restroom when needed. Alright, and then you have your, oh, here's your individual. For some reason, this did not get highlighted, so let me see if I can highlight it. And then just make sure you fill these out if you want. And then Laura should be going over that in class in detail. Alright, Michael, if you can, where did the yellow go?
Right there. Oh, what are you looking for?
Did you take the yellow sheet with you?
Yeah.
Can I have that back, please?
Yeah, I'll bring it right back to you. I just need to grab my driver's license.
Oh, right. Okay, as soon as you're done with that, I need you to give that to Michael, okay?
Sure.
Okay, so Michael, this is your individual. Laura will go over this in class, make sure you fill this out, everything's perfect. Sign it for today. Here are your books for class,
Thank you.
okay?
Yep.
We're still waiting for more people to show
I do
up.
have another question.
Sure.
Do you guys have any other locations other than here in the Bay Area?
We have Concord as another location.
Okay.
Yeah. What are your thoughts here?
It's just pretty far for me, that's all.
Where are you?
I'm in North Bay.
North Bay? I don't know what North Bay is.
You live in the Bay Area?
I do, but I've never heard of North Bay.
Really?
I've heard of Peninsula, East Bay, right? San
Marin,
Francisco,
Marin.
so the North
That's
Bay
the
is
North
way
Bay.
more.
Yeah.
That's a long drive. That is a long
That's so
drive.
funny.
I've never heard it called, and I've been here my whole life.
Wow.
Never heard it called the North Bay. South Bay, obviously
Sure.
there should be a North Bay, but
Absolutely.
what are they
Yeah.
considering North Bay? Right, so, interesting.
Yeah, that's funny. It's all good. So only Concord.
Concord would be the other one, I don't know
Yeah.
how traffic is going that way from our end.
It's a little bit better, but all good. So you want me to sign this
Yes,
one?
please.
Uh,
And then, let's give you driver's license, we'll do that as well.
I need my driver's license now.
Yeah, for this form right here, so if you have that.
Yeah.
Lauren, what are you doing, Lauren? Did you eat your books already?
Yeah.
You did get your books, okay, good, awesome. So this is your individual sheet, Laura will go over this in class specifically, but you just have to put that on here. We'll do that for this form. Same thing, do you have your driver's license
Yeah.
for checking? State mandates that we ID everybody, so we figured you'll need it for all your forms on a daily basis. Yeah. And you picked up your books, right? Or your boyfriend, husband,
Yeah, my fiance.
fiance? I think he introduced himself as your husband, I'm like, oh.
Oh. I think at this point we technically are.
Yeah. You'll just need that for here, and then, you'll sign in on the yellow sheet, and then you can find a seat next to the TV. It's the closest to the TV you can get is best, that way you can, you know,
Okay.
they say the closer you are to the TV, you'll pass the test.
Okay. Alright, I'll go closer
Get,
then.
get rid of all the distractions, right?
Right, exactly. Okay, so I'm gonna fill this out and then
And then
anything else?
Laura will go over that class, that's just all the state paperwork that we have to do,
Okay.
and keep that, you know, we're mandated just like you guys are. So,
Okay.
yeah, that's all the paperwork we
Alright,
have, but
thank
Laura
you.
will go over it. You're
Thank you.
welcome, thanks, Michael. You know, Michael, there's a way to get a hotel around here too, you thought about that?
I have, thank you. Yeah,
What-
it's,
what-
it's fine.
You sure?
Yeah.
I get a good hotel rate, my daughter works for a hotel,
Oh, yeah.
so,
Which one?
she works at the Element Hotels.
How far is
in
that?
Milpitas, right down the street, but I would probably do you a favor and see if I can get you one over here.
Really?
But I'd have to do it today because I leave out of town tomorrow.
What are that's so kind of you, what are the prices?
It just depends on availability. We can talk about it during the lunch break.
thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate
check it out. But we'd have to do it today, like check you in
Yeah,
today.
oh, I never checked in
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'd have to go back up, cause I didn't have it.
Yeah.
with me.
Yeah, you have to drive up and then drive back.
But I mean, if the price is right, I'd do it, but, cause I was thinking about it, but, you know, like, cause.
Unless you wanna do it when I get back tomorrow, Wednesday night, so I can check you in Wednesday, and then you can do Wednesday, Thursday night, you know,
Yeah,
kind of break it
that's
up a
true.
bit.
That's true,
That would be another solution, I come back Wednesday.
Are you gonna be here Wednesday or?
I'm teaching Wednesday,
Oh,
so
you
I'm
are?
supposed to be here.
Right,
That's the plan. I fly in and fly out real quick, so.
oh, wow.
I leave Thursday, so I come in Wednesday night and I leave Thursday
Oh,
morning.
okay.
So yeah, I can check you in Wednesday, and then you can stay till,
Yeah,
Friday, yeah.
okay, cool,
Yeah.
yeah, we might
so
wanna
should
do that.
take that with you, and he's already signed that, yeah, you're all set.
And the duck is for men
The
and women?
bathrooms,
Men?
yeah, so it's one door on the left hand side, just out the door to the left,
Okay,
and
awesome.
then, you'll have the access to both.
Thanks, what's your name?
I'm Jackie,
Jackie,
nice to
Mike.
meet you.
Nice to meet
I'll
you.
check on that,
Oh,
while you're in
thank
class,
you, that's so
alright?
nice of you, thanks, Jackie.
Did you want this, Thursday, Friday, or
Yeah.
Wednesday, Thursday only,
Well,
or
Yeah.
tonight through Friday?
Well, if you could find out
If
both.
it's available, okay.
Thanks.
Yes, no, be sorry. Gotta get closer than that. Aaron wants to sit in the back.
I like to be able to see
The
everything.
screen, yeah. it's either, Laura does like writing on the board,
Who's writing? Oh, yeah.
so she'll write on the board as well. Are you good, Laura? Anything you need? Starbucks?
I need a new computer that doesn't have all the stuff that I can't find.
You want me to use my computer?
No, that's fine.
Aaron, where are you driving from?
Just the Willow Glen neighborhood.
Oh, not too far.
Yeah, it was only like 15-20 minutes,
Oh, great.
so it's perfect for me.
Yeah, not like North Bay. Have you heard of North Bay before? I've never heard of North Bay.
Every once in a great while. Not many people say it.
I'm like, so is that Tiburon? Is that gonna be? So does that include Tiburon area too, the North Bay?
Yeah,
It does,
absolutely,
that whole
yeah.
area.
Also,
San Rafael?
also, yeah, absolutely.
Good, okay.
Yeah. It
How
can,
far north is it going?
it can go all the way to, like, Petaluma.
Petaluma, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
See?
Yeah, you learn something new every
new.
day. Well, I was in San Francisco for like 30 years, but then we
What do they
moved-
call that?
We moved San Francisco.
They don't call it the North Bay. See, I would think that would be the North Bay, but it's also on the peninsula.
Yeah, I don't think San Francisco is
It's not.
No, it's just,
Because it's on the other side of
it's
the North
a
Bay is
city.
on the other side of the.
yeah, other side of the Golden, so it's north of the Golden Gate.
Okay, all that.
So, yeah, I even think Sonoma could be considered.
Really?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's definitely Marin. I know that.
I don't. You taught me something new today.
Yeah, well, I didn't know either until well, during the pandemic, we moved there from the city,
Okay.
because we were at sea for a while, and then, I was like, North Bay. And people were like, yeah, that's what we call it. Like, okay.
Yeah, I didn't realize like South Bay is like past Gilroy area. That's
So,
what
so
Gilroy-
it goes all the way down to Gilroy?
That's-
South
yeah,
Bay? Ah,
yeah.
I thought
South
it was
County,
San Jose.
South County is what they call it.
South County?
Too, yeah, so it's like,
Oh,
cause Santa Clara County, right, so.
yeah, yeah.
But I only learned that because a friend of mine worked for the fire department, so they called it, at some point, it's like South County, I'm like, oh, I didn't know we had a South County.
Yeah, and it's interesting, because I think that's partly why they do it, it's for the police and the fire,
No,
and the municipalities to kind of know their jurisdictions, yeah,
Geographical locations.
yeah.
So did you feel the earthquake this morning at all?
Yes,
You
3
did?
o'clock in the morning,
I didn't even
absolutely,
feel it.
it was one of the biggest I've ever felt.
Oh my gosh, I slept right through it,
Mhm.
and you were in San Francisco.
3 in the morning, yeah,
Yes,
right at
right
3 in the
through it.
morning, right on the dot. The bed was totally shaking, the windows shook.
Did
It was one of the
really?
worst ones, and I've been here 33 years.
Well, it was in Berkeley, so that was pretty
Yeah.
close.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Is
and
that
it
a
was
4.5 or
The
something?
4.3, yeah, well,
Or
that's
if
what I
that
read.
was a pre,
I hope not,
Yeah.
and that's why I of course stayed up, because I was like, oh my gosh, here comes like an aftershock. But it was literally one of the bigger ones I felt.
oh wow, see, I haven't been feeling them at all, I feel so
Yeah.
like,
Oh,
you
you
know.
must sleep well.
Yes, it took me a while to
Did you
get to
feel
sleep.
it?
No, I'm like in Santa Clara.
Yeah,
so
so
I,
maybe a little further.
yeah, but I got a notification at
Oh,
3 in the
it was
morning.
pretty big.
You know what's weird is that somewhere on Facebook, it was like 22, I woke up this morning, it said 22 hours ago,
Mm-hmm.
earthquake coming the next, so many,
Really?
yeah,
So
like they
there-
knew
so
it was
people
coming.
knew.
Yeah,
Wow, well, that's good to know.
and then, yeah,
They didn't tell us, but it's good
Yeah.
to know.
well, it was on that Facebook page, so you gotta
Oh,
join
it
that
should be on
Facebook
that.
page.
Which one? Which
I have to look for
Oh,
it, I don't
that's all right,
remember.
Jackie.
Keep you in,
That's
I'll keep you in track,
crazy.
I know.
Wow.
Question,
I had like
Yeah.
Yeah.
usually
Good morning.
around 12, so it could be 12:15, just depends on where she's at with the content.
She tells me at 12, I'll leave at 12. Lunch.
Tell her 12, you can be the time clock,
And then I didn't like manually count my
We have to secure our stuff because we have student socials and everything, so we typically don't give it away.
No,
Do you have a hotspot? I need a Hello? Hello, Caesar, you have a class today, starts at 8 o'clock, it is now 1 minute to 8, I'll make sure you're here, you know where you're going, if you have any questions, feel free to call back, or wait for the 381. Was Myrta in your code class?
What?
Was Myrta in your code class?
Are you asking me or are you telling me?
I'm asking.
Huh?
I was asking.
That's not the question you wanted to know.
Let's take one back. No answer. Hi Marta, this is Jackie with the Plumbing School. Class starts at 8 o'clock, check-in was supposed to be 7:45. You're not here yet, so we just wanna check on you, make sure everything's okay. Again, this is Jackie with the Plumbing School, please just come back for right, 453-133, thank you. Quick, can I help you? Myrta? Myrta, you have class right now. Oh, Myrta is not you? Is there a phone number that you have? Okay, and she needs to call you. Is this her mother? Her daughter. Oh, okay. She's not here yet, just an FYI. So that's how we're calling her. Okay, I'll let her know in case she needs to call you. I have your number. She can call you from our phone line. Okay, thank you, Myrta.
Thank you.
1762 Technology Drive. Technology Drive, Suite 124. And we're in the same zip code, 95110. So you shouldn't be too far away. Okay, well, let's see you soon. Okay, bye. Her daughter has to leave, but she should be there already.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Laura Rivera, and here's my cell phone number. And I am actually honored to be here with you guys. Hopefully we'll get it started. We'll give 5 minutes for the latecomers. Has everybody scheduled their exam? I have 2 yeses and 1 no's. Uh-oh. Okay, when's your exam scheduled?
Next Friday,
Not this Friday,
the
but the
3rd.
following.
Yeah, next Friday.
Okay, where at?
In Santa Clara.
Scott Boulevard. Okay, cool.
This is on October 7th, so, and it's also in Santa Clara.
Oh, good. So you wanna take your exam in Santa Rosa? Lucky.
Well, I wanna take it wherever I pass.
Whatever's, I will say whatever's available. And unfortunately, because there was no scheduling earlier, that means that you might not get a lot of different choices.
Right.
When did you schedule your exam?
3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago.
Oh, really? That long ago? Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of availability like Monday through Thursday,
Mm-hmm.
but outside of that, it gets pretty
Yeah.
taken up.
So I'm at Quick Learning School website, and in our website, under career resources, you'll have the link. Good morning, is this Mirta?
Yes.
Oh, gotta call your mom.
Oh,
We
goodness.
worried her.
No, her daughter.
Her daughter.
Mirtha,
Yeah.
your daughter says she's gonna bring her phone.
So I was saying that this under career resources gives you the insurance required links or important links. You can go directly to different links, different websites, but this is a one, shop everything you need. So the scheduling of your exam would be here. Mirta, have you scheduled your exam yet?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Because you know what? I was looking at the dates
Mm-hmm.
and they're all booked.
Yes, they are. And it depends on the location. So scheduling an exam, I'll go through it really quickly, not in great detail, but I'll go through it so you have a better idea. Then we have the fingerprinting. Now, I'm not 100% sure if Santa Clara's fingerprinting, plus the time of when your exam is gonna determine if they'll fingerprint you, okay? So in case they do not fingerprint you, in case they do not give you a fingerprint form, then you can come to Quick Learning School and we have the link to get that fingerprint form available. You need it because it's already addressed to the Department of Insurance, right? So you're gonna take it to your nearest LifeScan fingerprinting center, and I love Siri and Alexa, cause they'll tell me what is my nearest place to get my fingerprints done. And I'm only gonna fill in this part here where it says applicant. I cannot tell you how many people call me up saying, I don't know what to put here. You leave the employer alone. You don't fill out anything there, okay? The test provider, the fingerprint provider will provide you that. Also, do not put a billing number or a miscellaneous number. That does not pertain to your fingerprints. You just fill out what you believe to be part of what it applies to you, right? It's like billing number, what are they talking about? So leave it alone, right? Miscellaneous number, Jesus, what is that for? Leave it alone. If you don't know it, leave it alone, right? And so you're gonna have this provided to you, and they're gonna give you a copy as proof that you did do the fingerprints. You don't do nothing with it. I also get people saying, okay, I got fingerprinted and I've got the form, what do I do with it? Nothing, because it's already been addressed to the California Department of Insurance. There's 4 things the state of California needs to issue a license. Number 1 is your test results, right? Fingerprints. Number 2 is your application. How can I get a license without filing an application? And number 4 is your pre-licensing certificates. So you're actually starting with the pre-licensing certificates because it's gonna give you a broad overview of all the stuff that you will be tested on, which is step 2, you gotta take the test. And the goal of this class is to prepare you to pass the test the first time. The bonus is that you might actually learn what people will pay for and what you might be paying for, because you might have insurance. Or in the perfect world, I will touch, move, and inspire you to go look at what the heck you're paying for or your family's paying for. And to maybe practice, there's a special art to selling health insurance. Life is an intangible product. I've never heard anyone just dying to talk about dying. Have you been dying to talk about dying? And I don't think so. There's cultures that believe that's bad juju. It's bad karma to talk about dying. So it's a very sensitive conversation that you need to feel really, really super comfortable in asking that question. And it's not about dying, it's about planning for the future. Especially if you have people that depend on you and that you love. You must be comfortable getting into people's world and asking the right questions. So one of my homework assignments is to look at what you're paying for if you have a life insurance policy. If you don't, that's okay, that's even better, cause you're gonna practice the art of asking people about their life insurance. And if you can't get over that, I'm gonna tell you, you better practice getting over it, cause that's one of the essential parts of being successful in the insurance industry. Some of you are lucky that are going to work with, health insurance carriers. Health is a different story. It's a demand product, so it becomes a little bit of a different conversation. But in the life side, that's the harder part, and most people report that the life side on their examination was the harder part, because there are no standardized policies, right? So every policy, every company that you sell for has its unique characteristics. And then I come and introduce you to names, and when you get your license issued, the company that you will come and represent will not use the same names that we use, right? Like there's a good neighbor policy, the legacy plan is like, I don't know what the heck those are. I know what term is, what whole life is, what universal life is, right? I know what juvenile life policy is. But when you get your license issued, your insurance companies will create the same contract, but they'll label it, right? They'll package it up like a family plan or a family income plan, right? So we just label it, we call it joint life. And it's not that it's more, it's just that we modified the label, the name of the policy, because we needed to come and kind of confuse you. No, to identify it as what it is, like a joint life. You usually don't get term with joint life because term, I'm gonna start here, term is temporary. So term being, right, temporary, probably spelled I didn't say very well, temporary, yeah, close enough, always has a stated number of years. You can't have a term, use your imagination how long it's good for. So it has to identify, this is a 10-year term, a 20-year term, a 1-year term. The neat thing about term is that it's solid, pure insurance protection. It's kind of, you could compare it to renting. It's temporary, right? So term gives you pure insurance protection. But that's not all we have in insurance. We also have insurance protection with cash value accumulation. And when you get into that product, you now have what we identify under the category of a whole life. And a whole life visually looks like a policy is going to give you the best of two worlds. It's going to give you insurance protection in case you die too soon. This insurance protection, if you notice, is going to be decreasing where your cash value, that's the second feature of whole life, is going to be increasing. So you have a decreasing term with an increasing cash value. But the thing about whole life is it doesn't have a time frame because it's supposed to be all the way till the day you die. So whole life is for your whole life. Once upon a time in 1980, mortality table said that we all be dead by age 100. But they changed the mortality tables, and in 2001, they decided to say that people actually are living longer, so not all of us will be dead by 100, but some of us will manage to live till 120. Why do I put these two numbers? Because in 1980, we used to have all our contracts till 2009, right? Actually, use this number. But supposedly, insurance companies started coming in 2009, use the mortality tables of 2001. Thank God, good news, it's not on the test, it's just history, okay? So I will tell you, as I teach the class, this is personal enjoyment, or this is history, but this is on the test. You gotta know. Now, reason I'm bringing this here is that I was telling you that in a juvenile life a joint life policy would never be used for term because term is cheap. So we'd get the husband and the wife each their own separate policy. But in a whole life, this is insurance that's gonna protect you from the day you purchase the contract all the way till you die. And if you're not dead at age 100, this becomes equity or money that belongs to you. So you're not just buying insurance, but you're also setting up a forced savings account, right? So it has to require you to pay much more money. So this is the one that we would come and utilize to hook up a husband and wife so they don't have two separate premiums, right? So when you see joint life, you know it's a whole life. Now if I go to these two words, you think about it, these words are telling you what they are. Like term deals with time. Stated number of years. It's just solid, pure insurance protection, which has the lowest cost, lowest premium, where whole life, right, is gonna have a higher cost. This is not temporary protection, it's insurance with cash value. So one of the essential things about this class, as you go take the state exam, is that you wanna utilize and get leverage as you take the test to remind yourself words mean what they say. Because sometimes it's that obvious. You know, like life income. What the heck would that be? That's income for as long as you live, right? So this right here, the death benefit, because we usually buy whole life to die. As a matter of fact, it pays us to die. We usually buy whole life so a person can have cash. But if we want to control our family members after I die or we die, we can actually give the insurance companies instructions to have the death benefit be used to purchase what we call an annuity. And in the annuity, they're gonna dump the death benefit into the policy, and then they're gonna use the money based on the person's age and gender. They're gonna provide an income for this person for as long as they live. I came and gave you this visual because in life insurance we have two problems. We either die too soon or we don't die soon enough. So if the person who left you the money so desires, they could come and make arrangements to select what they call a settlement option. In real life, you never talk to people, oh, by the way, since we're setting you up with this policy, when you die, how would you like the money to be paid? We don't talk about that kind of stuff. We're just interested in making the sale. Plus, if you come and tell me what my options are, you talk me out of buying because now I have to think. So there's a time to educate and there's a time to sell. And I'll tell you, when you're selling, you're not educating. You're more concerned about coming and seeing if the person's willing to apply to see if they qualify. Because one important thing about life, you gotta remember that life insurance is not something you sell. No one can sell life insurance. You advocate, you sell the problem, you present the solution and encourage them to apply to see if they will qualify. Because it's not up to you, the agent, to decide if I'm gonna get a policy and for how much and how much premium I'm gonna have to pay. This is insurance. So insurance, being that it's a social device, requires the person who's buying insurance to qualify for the coverage they're trying to purchase. So the person is like a skip and a hop and a jump away from their final date of destination. The insurance company knows you're dying to die. You're dying to buy life, but we're not dying to take your money. Cause we're only gonna come and take your money if there's an uncertainty of when you'll end up dying, which is an essential element of all insurance contracts. There has to be an element of uncertainty. We know we're all gonna die, we just don't know when. And as long as we don't know when, they'll gladly take our money, right? Notice how I put a question mark here under the term, which has the lowest premium. Well, term has different flavors, different features, different characteristics, and the time. Man, the longer the time you want to have temporary protection, the higher the premium, because the higher the risk of you dying, right? The shorter the time, like 1 year term, the lower the premium. So in theory, this has the lowest cost, but inside the term, there's different types of costs, right? Where this one will, your age, your gender, and how much you're applying, we will come and be able to come and lock in that rate till the day we die. And we don't have to pay for as long as we live, we can also make arrangements to pay it off sooner. That means that we could buy a whole life, but have a paid up at 65. Right, now that's a favorite test question on the exam. Favorite test question on the exam. And you know what the question says? At what age does it mature? Number one answer, 65. No, this is just saying it's paid in full by the time you turn 65, but the coverage is gonna continue till the age either 100 or 120. By the way, I think 2 weeks ago I talked to someone that took a life exam, and they said they were very disappointed because on the test they didn't see 120. They only saw age 100. That is absolutely true. Most of you will see that 100 is the time length of what whole life does. They have not created a whole lot of questions where you've got 120. As a matter of fact, don't even expect the 120. Most likely, you'll see 100, right? And if you see paid up at 65, it's really saying paid in full. It's like having a 15-year mortgage instead of a 30-year mortgage. So this is information that we will cover, right, that I wanted to kind of address. This is what makes life insurance challenging, because there's lots of different policies, but we create labels, right? And features and options, like we have decreasing term, we have increasing term, we have level terms. Like, what? Hey, you thought term was easy. It is, because words mean what they say. Like, oh, that's pretty cool. Had someone doing pre-licensing, and they had taken the test 3 times and they had failed it. And so they came in and I gave them like 2 hours of one-on-one tutoring. They said, man, if I would have known words mean what they say, I would have passed the exam the first time. But I talked myself out of those right answers because it was too obvious. Talk about overcomplicating, right? But also she had a lot of gaps as far as the terminology. So 50% of your test is vocabulary words. So when you go home, in my opinion, a lot of you will be tired. Not because of what you did, but because your brain is gonna be full. Because I will cover a lot of stuff. And sometimes I will cover stuff that's not being addressed yet, but it will be. Because I am a firm believer that repetition is the mother of all learning. And sometimes things get integrated, right? So if I know the foundation, like a good example of this is this cash value is because of the premium you paid. The thing is that the premium you paid in the first 3 years is used to cover the cost of putting a policy on the books. And I don't know if you know this, but life pays good commission. 40, 50, 60, 70% of the annual premium for the first year. I actually have people tell me, you're tripping, Laura. My company pays 120% of the first year premium. In other words, the company that they were with pays more than what they're gonna get from the customer on the first year of that policy being written. There's a catch, by the way. What's the catch? Any ideas what would be the catch? Why would a company pay so much commission for you to bring a customer into the company.
If they stop paying, don't they come back for it?
There's a chargeback, right? So there's another reason why. Any ideas? I don't know if you know this, but in life insurance, when you sell me a policy, the first year you get a big fat check. But then every year I renew my policy, you get agent of record commission. Maybe 2-3% commission for doing nothing. Because if you sold me a good policy, I'm gonna pay, and you're gonna get paid every year that I renew or keep on paying my premium. So that commission I was telling you about is a commission that's only paid because the company is not promising to pay any additional commission for that client's future premiums to be collected. Make sense? Okay. So that's why they don't come or that's why they don't give you the lower commission, but they actually give you the highest commission upfront. But then don't expect anything, right? Which is good in some respects, but actually also bad. And it gets really bad when a client buys the policy and pays for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months, and then they quit. And you wish you could kill them because you have to return the entire premium that they paid you, right? There's no, well, they paid for 6 months, let's pay you the commission for the first 6 months that they paid. We're still trying to recuperate from all the expenses we had to put forth to actually put the policy on the books. So they will always charge you back the whole entire. Now, if they die, that's a different story, right? But it's when they quit. So that means that if they quit, you probably didn't do a proper policy delivery. Because to me, the most important part of this whole thing is when you deliver the policy. Taking care and making sure that you remind the client. This is a long-term contract. You lose if you quit. And you're locking in the rate, and let's talk about the features this policy is putting in writing. That time will actually be on your side if you keep on paying it. Because it's a contract and it meets contract law, and there's features that you don't find anywhere else but in insurance, right? It doesn't matter if you have an auto policy or a health insurance policy or a life insurance policy. There are certain features of insurance that make it very unique and valuable to any other contract out there. And check it out, we have 2 parties in life. In all insurance, there's always 2 parties, right? But only one party promised, and it's not the customer. Because the customer said, this is who I am, and here's my money. And then the company went and did some digging and maybe asked for a medical exam. They got some consumer reports. They got the medical history from your hospitals and your attending physicians. They do heavy duty evaluation before they issue the policy, which is the promise. Because they know that once they promise, they can't change what they put in the policy, and they cannot cancel you unless you stop the payments. And even when you stop paying premiums, we cannot come and quit on you because you have equity. So now your equity is not gonna be forfeited. As a matter of fact, that's like the weirdest term that most people have a challenge when they go take the test. There's about 4 to 5 questions on the test about non-forfeiture. And when I see the word non-forfeiture, it's like, I don't even know what the heck does non-forfeiture mean. But if I use the strategy of words mean what they say, well, non is not. And forfeiture means forfeit, to lose. But it said not lose. So what in life do you not lose? Your cash. Kind of becomes not that bad of a term, right? But how often do you use the word non-forfeiture? Like, seriously, I don't know what that means. I've heard it forfeit in games, but in life, non-forfeiture, what do you mean non-forfeited? You don't forfeit, you don't lose, you don't give up your cash just because you stop paying premiums 10, 15 years later, and you have not managed to die. That's sacred money that belongs to you. It's what we also call a living benefit. Because you have life insurance, but you also have a forced savings account. So if you ever need cash, you can take out some of that cash as a loan, pay us interest. If you don't have the money to pay the premium, like you lost your job, you've been sick, you don't have money, no worries. You might not have it in your wallet, but you have it in the policy. So we're gonna come and use the cash from the policy to keep your policy going. As a matter of fact, nowadays the application says, would you like to sign up for APL, which stands for Automatic Premium Loan. And so they will come and automatically use your cash inside the policy to keep the insurance going. Bad thing, it is a loan. So what do loans do? They charge you interest. But you're not gonna forfeit your policy because you didn't make the premium payments, right? This one you have nothing. You pay good. You don't pay, at the end of certain time, there will be no insurance protection. You'll forfeit the protection, right? Because there is no cash. And this is one of their favorite questions. You gotta remember that term is temporary. There is no cash value. Only policies identified as permanent or whole life policies will build up the cash value. That's part of the policy provisions as well as the types of the parts of the policy. So we talked about the actual fingerprinting requirement. I was telling you that you also have to schedule an exam to take the exam. So to schedule our exam, notice how it says schedule insurance exam. So there is an actual 800 number that you can schedule your exam over the phone. Okay, this is your homework for tonight if you have not scheduled your exam. It's 833-518-7456. This is the telephone number for PSI. They're your test administrators, right? And you could go to Quick Learning School. I hate going to PSI because when I go directly to PSI exams, I get so confused. So this right here, I go to Quick Learning School, I click on schedule exam, and I just have to come and select what exam I need to take. Now I have to warn you that there is multiple languages, everything is in alphabetical order, so you do have to go on a scavenge hunt. So do not schedule accident and health unless you want to separate your exams. That means that they're going to charge you $98 per exam, which means you'd have to take 2 exams. It makes no sense. I pay the same price, I just have to be patient and look for the L's. And so I'm going to go down this line. Now I had someone tell me, do I schedule life and disability insurance examination? Life analyst, no you do not. You have to be 3 years licensed in the last 5 years. So I first have to grow up to be a life agent before I can go take an exam to analyze people's lives for a fee, okay? This license does not allow you to sell anything but advice, okay? And of course, you're gonna scroll down not to the life and disability. Check it out, I have the life exam. That's a wrong exam because you're here for the whole week. You need to look for the one that says life, accident, health, and sickness. And there's my life, and to add insult to injury, we do have what they call a life limited to payment of funeral and burial expenses. That's when you go work with a funeral home. You didn't even have to take pre-licensing. But this license here is gonna only allow you to sell insurance for less than $20,000, okay? And you're gonna have an examination that will be consisted of 90 questions, okay? But no pre-licensing and no allowance to sell any life insurance over $20,000. It has to be always less than $20,000. And so again, we've got these options here for the funeral, and we're gonna ignore that, and there we go. Notice how it has the word life, accident, health, or sickness examination. Notice how there's a testing center and there's a proctored life exam. So in the actual proctored, that's life, you go to the proctored and you will notice that typically there's a lot of different exams available. That means you're doing the test in the comfort of your home. Do not schedule your test for your home if you do not have a strong internet and if you do not have a room that no one under any circumstance will enter. Okay? And notice how I'm going here, in spite of today being the 22nd, I notice that there's no exams available. I know this because when there is exams available, there is circles. And actually notice how they have sold out all the way to October 7th. So I need to schedule my exams sooner than later, right? Because the longer I wait, the less options I have. So if you notice, there's only 2. This is the first time I've seen that, by the way. And there's now more, right? So the longer I stretch, I delay my examination. Notice how I have now more options, right? This is the actual remote. In remote, when you're taking the test by that platform, you are not allowed to move your lips as you read the information on the screen. Cannot. They'll call you on it once, they'll call you on it twice, and on the 3rd time, they'll say failed. Right, I failed because I failed to honor their request. If they hear movements, they'll say, please make a scan of the room, right? And they'll even tell you to go underneath the table or the bed or the desk. There's corners that they're not visually able to see. They'll tell you, let us look at this corner or that corner. So they're kind of a little bit of a pain in the neck, but otherwise it's actually pretty efficient, pretty fast, pretty cool. It's not that bad. Of course, when I go to a testing center, I can move my lips. I can come and leave the premises to go get a sip of water, or I can go to the restroom. The problem is that, again, there's limitation of the actual exams availability. So I'm just gonna choose that, and I'm gonna say I want a 100-mile radius. Hi, good morning. Are you here for class?
Yeah,
Uh-oh, you're late. Okay.
sorry.
No problem. No more being late though, okay? Jackie's gonna take care of you, okay? So here's Santa Clara, and notice what, this was not available last class I taught.
think
It's true, because we were looking.
Yeah, this was not available, that's because someone got cold feet. In other words, I'm telling you, schedule your exam, if you get cold feet, you can actually reschedule it, as long as it's 48 hours before the test. Now, you guys are finished on officially September 29th is when you're gonna do the exam prep. So let's say, what's your name?
Aaron.
Aaron goes online and notices that there's an exam available on the 3rd. He wants to move it up, he can move it to the 2nd because it's available. Or he wants to come and delay it for later. You can delay it for later. So I would recommend you just schedule the test, and if it's not a date that you're like jumping for joy, then what you wanna do is literally go and reschedule something, and then you check every day. Now I'm noticing, I'm in shock that Santa Clara, good thing Aaron scheduled his exam, right? Good thing you schedule your exam, because this is what you'd be up against if you wanted to go to Santa Clara. And they have a 2:30, which is not bad, and they have a 6:30 exam. I don't like 6:30 exams because this is allowing you to get 3 hours to take the test. So that's a little bit too long, if you ask me, long day, unless you are a late bird. You know, I go to bed at 3 o'clock in the morning, I usually wake up at 2 o'clock, or 1 o'clock. then the 5:30, 6:30 exam is not that big of a deal. But when you wake up like early, 9 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, that's not a good exam, in my opinion, right? So that means that I'd have to wait till August now. So if you decide to wait till till November, oh my God. I would highly recommend you to do the exam prep in October again. Okay, so you're gonna do the exam prep on September 29th. Go ahead and take the exam prep again and schedule it after, right? After the exam prep. I go here to, oh, check it out, they tell me that there's time slot available for Wednesday, October 1st. Oh, it's not available. I guess they thought I wanted October 1st, right? So I've got Union City available. October looks a little bit better. If I go to September, ooh, those opened up too, by the way. So several people rescheduled there. I can go and check San Francisco, and San Francisco has much more seatings available. This week is out because you're in class, so we don't want that, but the October looks promising. Time frame, 5:30, I don't like those days. 9 and 5:30, so if you notice, there's more availability. I could go to Walnut Creek. Walnut Creek is till the end of October. No good. San Francisco, oh, is San Francisco here? Oh, there was San Francisco that had the availability, sorry. Sacramento, right? They have some availability. It seems there's Tuesdays, no exams available. And Santa Rosa, that would be for, what was your name? Mike. Michael. It would be for you, Michael. So, nothing for, of course, September at this point in time because you're in class. So you would wanna go check what's available. 12:30, I would snatch that, right? The exam being taken sooner than later is much better. Okay. So that kinda gave you the exam scheduling. Have you scheduled your exam already?
No.
Okay, so during break time, I'll take you through the process real quickly, okay?
Thank you.
But it is under our Quick Learning School website, and again, you're gonna click on Schedule Insurance Examination. As soon as you pass, yes,
Hi Laura, you mentioned the 29th, what's happening on the a week from today?
Monday is your exam prep
Where?
from 9 to 5. In that one, because of your distance, you can do Zoom, because it's not certification, but
Is it with you?
it's here.
Oh.
Well, you can come here to San Jose. The class starts at 9 o'clock till 5 o'clock.
Okay, cause my boss said Monday is, something else.
The exam prep,
No, it's something, well, I can talk to you later about it, but no, it's the 12-hour or the 8-hour?
the October 4th and 5th is the 12 hours of code and ethics.
Right. So
Right.
that's not on Monday.
No,
Okay.
okay? Yeah.
So we need to be here on Monday.
You wanna be here on Monday for it's kinda like, okay, we've done all this information
Right,
overload,
right.
so now let's fine tune it to go through Q&As that are gonna be similar to the questions you're gonna see on the state exam. By the way, those questions that we're gonna work with to kind of have fresh in your memory banks are gonna be from the playbook. So this is the actual playbook, okay? And so the playbook is providing you with the information on the breakdown of your exam. This is page 6, so they tell you about it. Now I'm gonna show you something. I'm gonna print out something for you to summarize the sections of a test.
So, okay, the 29th, we have to be here. Got it. Now, this 12-hour this 12-hour prep that you're talking about.
The 12 hours is not a prep, the 12
Sorry.
hours is pre-licensing
Pre-licensing.
curriculum requirement.
So that's the 4th and the 5th?
The
you said?
4th and 5th,
So
that's
that
a
means
Saturday.
we have to schedule our test for after the 5th.
Check it out. I wish I could say yes, but to be honest with you, PSI doesn't give a squat if you did pre-licensing or not. So they're gonna take your money and they're gonna let you take the exam.
Yeah, but I don't wanna
Even
take
though
the
you
exam
have
if I
it-
don't know the
Exactly.
questions.
Exactly, right? Although, to be honest with you, you do have the information that you need for the test provided under what we call the general insurance information, see? Now, your exam will have 40 questions on code and ethics. It's gonna have 49 questions on life insurance, plus 4 questions on riders, and it's gonna have 45 questions on accident and health insurance. It's gonna have 4 questions on disability insurance, disability insurance, which is terminology. And there's gonna have 4 questions on long-term care and 4 questions on disability income. So disability insurance is a generic term that we used to use in the insurance industry that covered everything except dying. So it covered anything that dealt with being sick. So remember, when you're sick, there's hospital bills, there's medical bills, office visits, surgical procedures. That's currently what we have available under our HMOs and PPOs. Most of us here in California have what I call managed care. Once in a while, some of us have plans that gives us a choice of where we go and who gets paid. That's traditionally what we call a medical plan. I call that non-managed care, okay? So if I have a medical plan that's gonna pay for my medical expenses as a result of me or the doctor billing them, that's a non-managed plan. If I have a plan where I go and get treatment and then the doctor is gonna bill directly to Kaiser or Blue Cross or Blue Shield, that's managed care. That's HMO PPO. They have a belief that it's so much better if they pay directly to the doctor, because now the doctor has to follow the guidelines to get paid and the treatments that they can provide you, right? Managed care was introduced to reduce the cost of medical expenses. And in California, that's our, the Affordable Care Act, the Obamacare, some of us know, they lobbied into getting managed care, okay? Managed care is okay, but if you need procedures that are not part of the common masses, or if you wanna go to specialists, sometimes you don't go to a specialist until you get your doctor's approval. I'm talking about HMOs, right? Or should I say Kaiser? Not that I'm lobbying or promoting them, but Kaiser's a perfect example of an HMO. I have to go to HMO facilities to get the treatment. And I typically am not able to call up and say, I wanna see a specialist, because they're gonna say, you need to go to your primary care physician, aka your gatekeeper. Test questions, by the way. Everything I've said is test questions. The managed care versus the non-managed care. But needless to say, I was telling you about how once upon a time, all of the health side products availability were all called disability insurance. Nowadays we have health insurance, right? We have accident insurance, because in 2002 they recognized it as a standalone coverage. And then we have also what they call sickness, and the sickness is the actual doctor bills and hospital bills. The health insurance is the same thing, but there's another impact that we have or that we face when we're sick. It's not just the doctor bills and hospital bills and medical treatment, right? But we also have loss of income. Quite often, if we're sick, we can't go and show up to make a living, right? So inside the disability insurance, we also have disability income, right? Loss of earnings. Loss of earnings is a separate policy that's not paid under your medical or health plans. Health plans is to get you up and running. Pay the doctor bills to get you off your feet. Where disability income is income replacement. So it's gonna be triggering a benefit when you're not able to show up to work. You're totally disabled or you're partially disabled. But then we have another impact, side effect of being sick sometimes, and that's when we lose our activities of daily living. They call it ADLs. That means that we're not self-sufficient. That's never covered under none of your medical plans, right? Long-term care is what I'm talking about. You need to be either housed or assisted because you lost things you take for granted. I always like to tell people that the long-term care is typically in the event of losing, right, your activities of daily living. So it's not that you're sick, it's that you are not self-sufficient. So there are 7 activities of daily living that will qualify you to trigger the benefits under long-term care. Gotta remember that long-term care is a daily dollar benefit. And you get to choose how much dollars you want the policy to pay, because there is a benefit, a daily dollar benefit, but you also have to choose the benefit period. So long-term care doesn't say we're gonna pay money for as long as you are not able to be self-sufficient. Well, what does it mean not being self-sufficient? Well, you lost your ability to be mobile. We call that ambulating, properly spelled. Good sleep, bad speller. You can always tell I had good sleep. I spell it's ambulating. Okay, close enough. AK. Right. So that's the A. Then we have the B. The B deals with bathing. So if you're not able to bathe yourself, that would be one of the triggers to qualify for the daily dollar benefit. Continence. That's the ability to hold your bowel movements in urine, right? That's the C. The D is for dressing. If you are not able to zip up or take off your clothes, that means you have lost one of the 7 activities of daily living. The E, see we're saying A, B, C, D, E of living is the eating. And then we have 2 T's. Those 2 T's are a little bit confusing for one because one of the T's is transferring. It's like, wait, isn't that like ambulating? No, because transfer means I have lost the ability to move or get up from the bed to a wheelchair or, just move. I had a stroke and I'm kind of like paralyzed. And when I am not able to transfer, that means if I don't get constantly moved, I get blisters because my body just can't take being in the same position for so long, right? So that's one of the T's, which is not to be confused with the ability to still be mobile. This is ambulating, right? I got my walker and I am kind of free as a bird as opposed to the transferring. And then we have the T for toiletry. And the toiletry is kind of like, well, isn't that under the bathing? No, because bathing requires completely different activities than the toiletry, right? Toiletry means I am able to go to the restroom, pull off my undies, sit in the commode, get the toilet paper, put my undies back again, flush the toilet, and even wash my hands. All of these, believe it or not, if you buy a long-term care policy, will in very great depth, will explain to you what does it mean to be ambulating, bathing, continence, dressing, all of these. Now you have to lose 2 activities of daily living out of 7. So if you lose 2 out of 7, you're gonna end up qualifying for the $200 per day that you can come and be paid to you directly, or to be paid to the skilled nursing facility that you actually ended up being transferred to house you, because no one was around in the house to be able to take care of you, because it's physically, emotionally, and financially very challenging to take care of someone. And these are the physical aspects of losing your activities of daily living. We also have long-term care being triggered because of course, cognitive impairment. I have Alzheimer's or dementia, right? And so there are 4 test questions on your state exam about long-term care. Remember, this doesn't pay a single penny if you have to go to the doctor. This is not to get you up and running. This is the money that they're gonna pay a third party to house you or to assist you. So it's the money allocated for the expenses for long-term care, right? I was telling you that we also have 4 questions that will come specifically from disability income. As long as you're under age 60 or 65, you can buy income replacement. So income replacement is going to again follow the same rule. What percentage of income do you want us to replace? Or what kind of monthly income do you want us to replace? So that would be the percentage of the benefit that they will pay. They have to show 2 years of tax returns, because we want to make sure that we verify how much income are we going to have you qualify to get replaced. And we have to select what's the benefit period. For people who are self-employed, to me, this is an essential policy. Lots of people should have actually been sold. But usually this is a policy that's sold more likely as an employee health benefit package, right? But this is different than your HMO or your PPO, because your HMO and PPO do not provide for income replacement, and they do not pay for long-term care. Now they do pay for a limited amount, like up to $100 if the doctor says that you're gonna get better, okay? Now, there's 4 questions on long-term care, 4 questions on disability income. These are money policies that are not covered under your medical. Under your medical, you're gonna have sickness, right? You're gonna have 45 questions that are gonna be introduced. From those 45 questions, we're gonna minus 15 questions on Medicare. When we talk about Medicare, we're not gonna talk about Medicare as to, Medicare. We're gonna, this is for the seniors. Let's just put it this way. So we're gonna have, that's what I wanted to tell you. We're not gonna talk about the Medicare supplements you have the authority to sell. That's neither here nor there. We're gonna talk specifically to have you have a clear understanding of the major gap that the federal government's medical program for seniors have. And when should they enroll? And how do they qualify? And what are the parts of Medicare benefits, okay? Don't confuse Medicaid AK known as Medi-Cal. This is a state medical program where when we go to Medicare, that's a federal. And yes, you will see Medicaid, about maybe 2 questions at the most. And you will definitely see 15 questions on the federal medical program, right? 15. And then you will see, of course, your HMOs and your PPOs, right? And we will talk about what else? What are the benefits inside? We'll talk about, cost containment. Actually, these are like policy provisions. Cost containment. Close enough. We'll talk about cost sharing. Right? These are just definitions of information. So if I actually have you, we're gonna talk about high cap. We call it hiccups, they're for free. Actually, this is a nonprofit organization under the California Department of Insurance and the state agency for the seniors. And there's gonna be, of course, about 3 to 4 test questions on that. So I'm telling you this because when all is said and done, the health insurance side, that's much easier than the life side. And in the life side, we only have a total of 49 questions for life, right? And then we're gonna have 4 questions on riders. And you gotta remember that in the insurance industry, a rider is actually officially an endorsement. So it's an additional benefit that we're gonna add, we're gonna endorse to the original policy. Like for example, we can have an endorsement that guarantees that we can increase the death benefit. We call that guaranteed insurability. Or we could add an endorsement right, we could add an endorsement where we are able to have our premiums waived. We call that a waiver of premium. And I can wave goodbye from the wheelchair because I'm not able to go to work. Remember, this pays me the income replacement where this will come and waive my premiums because I'm totally disabled. It's not gonna put money in my wallet, but it's gonna have the insurance company have the premiums continued on, so my benefits will still be provided in case I die during my inability to be able to show up to work. We call that being totally disabled. So we're gonna learn some information from life that filters over to this over here completely. So this right here becomes so much more easier than this side over here. This is the intangible product. And so we will come and have a nice full level of information that will be introduced to give us the overview. One thing I don't like about my 40 hours of product, I really don't like it, is that I'll also have a lot of information that I will be covering from Code and Ethics. So if you already took Code and Ethics, I know Aaron took Code and Ethics, and I know, I forgot your name, sorry. Cesar already took Code and Ethics, and you took Code and Ethics. So you'll realize, oh, she's refreshing, she's recapping on what we already learned. So chapter 1 today is everything that we learned in chapters 15 and 16, okay? And then we're gonna have some information from 17, and we're gonna have some information even from 18. So it's gonna be repeat. If you haven't not done the Code and Ethics, that's why I'm coming and talking about this. In theory, you could take the test on October 2nd or 3rd without doing the code and ethics. Because we're gonna have a lot of information introduced in the classroom. And then in the exam prep, you'll have a lot of the questions that would come from the code and ethics. And there is 40 questions. And I was telling you that I will be printing out an overview of the information that we will be presenting, that we will be learning. So this is the breakdown that I was telling you about. So here's the actual 833 phone number for PSI. The cost of the exam is $98. And there's also fingerprints. The fingerprints are about an extra $80. And then once you pass the exam, there will be an application filing that will be through CertCon. And the fees currently are $188, which will generate a 2-year license. At the end, or like before 2 years are up, you will be expected to do 24 hours of continuing education. So stay tuned, there will be more. And since you guys are getting a license at this point of time in history, once you get your license issued, you will be expected to do a 4-hour continuing education course in order to sell insurance with cash value. It's the rule, automatically. But don't do any continuing education until you get a license number. Because I had someone do that and the certificate date did not jive with the date of the license being issued. See, they could have done the course but not submitted the final exam, because it's all online, it's super easy, until the license number was issued. But they decided to finish their course certification before their license was issued. And keep in mind, they had already filed their application, they had passed the test, they had fingerprinted, done, everything was complete, except that there was no license number to report under. So when the license was issued, that's when her license was effective. So anything that she did before she had a license number did not get qualified at all. So she did like 4 different courses. She did 8 hours of annuities, 8 hours of long-term care, 4 hours of the new mandatory cash value insurance, and she did another course, I don't remember, the homeowner's valuation, because those were all courses that were required. All of them, no good. It's like, that is so wrong in my world. Like, can you just like let her redo them at no charge? And of course the platform said no, she had to pay again. So don't get any hours done until you have a license number to be reported under. Okay? You can buy it, but don't complete it until the license is issued. And how long does it take for your license to be issued? About 2 to maybe 3-4 weeks. This is if we have a clean filing. If everything that they needed is done, then it'll be about no sooner than 2 weeks. Never seen anyone getting a license within 1 week in your dreams. It's more like 21 days, right? We're talking about 2 weeks in full, 3 possibly. If in 2 or 3 weeks my license has not been issued, at that point in time I would highly recommend you to go to Quick Learning School. Why am I going to Quick Learning School? Because notice how we have check application status. So I can click here and that takes me automatically to the link with the Department of Insurance, where I can actually check what's going on with my license. So I'll enter my last name, my date of birth, my social security number, and the business address I gave in the application. And then I'm gonna retrieve my application. And in the retrieving of my application, it will tell me, we received your application and here's the status. We haven't received fingerprinting. Oh, no wonder, right? Or we received your 12 hours of pre-licensing, but we have not received your 40 hours, or vice versa. We received your 40 hours, but not the 12 hours, right? Like in Michael's case, if he were to go take the test, and soon after he takes the test, he's coming and filing his application, but he kind of forgot to do the code and ethics. He's been a little bit busy. He already passed the exam, you already did a whole week of torture, so it's like, I'm done. And no, you're not done. What you want to do is you wanna go check, you wanna go check what's going on, and they'll tell you exactly what's missing. One of the reasons why it might show that your license, your application is completed, fingerprints are completed, your test results are completed, but they say that they're pending applicant, right? And so when they say pending applicants reply, it's because I said I had a misdemeanor or a felony, or I had currently been charged with some kind of a misdemeanor or felony charge. Cause they do ask you in the application, have you or are you currently in any court litigation, right, that involves a misdemeanor or a felony? So when you say, yes, I have had a previous challenge with courts, right, I have a conviction, not I committed, but I have a conviction, you do need to come and get your side of the story and get the court transcripts. And so if you have not provided them with the court transcripts and your side of the story, that's gonna hang up your license until you get it together. And it gives you 1 year to get that fixed, okay? At the end of 1 year, your test results, your fingerprints, and your application filing, they're all down the drain. So you'd have to take the test, get fingerprinted again, and file a new application. So again, there's a little bit more to life than meets the eye. So yes, you did pre-licensing, you took the test, and you got fingerprinted. But if you said you had a violation and you did not complete it, the information that they requested. So the application tells you exactly what you need to provide them, okay? Any questions on what I just covered? Again, we'll fill out the application through clicking on this link. And then once my license is issued, I could actually click here to print my license, right? And I could always check what my license status is. Did my hours get reported and so forth? Any questions on that? No? Okay. So homework for tonight, I'm gonna give you the homework early and then I'll remind you about the homework in one ear out the other. Usually I am aware of how we operate. I'm human, right? So homework for tonight is to study page 11 all the way to page 29. Okay, easy. Although it might be not that easy because you'll be tired. So we start on start. Start on page 11 all the way to page 29. Now when you go and study page 11 through page 29, I'm gonna go to page 11 here. I always tell people that the way you wanna study is by coming and introducing your actual answers. I'm noticing that my book doesn't have any highlighting, but your book does it? Everybody's book has the answer highlighted, I hope? Okay, good, I was getting worried. So the right answer is absolute assignment. That's the right answer, so you're gonna look at what answer was bold-faced, and then I want you to go to the question and see what would be the appropriate key to actually connect that in absolute assignment is going to be when a person is involved in a biatical settlement. There is a provision, life provision, that allows the transfer for this transaction. We call that an absolute assignment. We're gonna see this in chapter 4. We're not gonna see it today, but you're gonna be introducing yourself to it today, right? And you're gonna introduce yourself that there's a level death benefit with an increase of premium, and that's because this is talking about a renewable term. So yes, a renewable term promises that they're gonna insure me for a 10-year term, and then at the end of 10 years, they're gonna renew my policy for another 10 years, but the benefit is the same, but I'm 10 years older, so my premium is gonna increase. See, we're gonna see that in chapter 3, right? I'm not gonna waste my time reading the wrong answers. I'm just gonna study the right answer that was highlighted, and I'm gonna go and see in the question, what can I link my answer to? I'm gonna see that, this one is gonna allow me to purchase additional insurance regardless of insurability. What in the world would allow me to do that? Oh, that's because I have a guaranteed insurability option. See, that's one of the riders. Remember, there's 4 riders on the state exam that they will ask you. That is one of the 4 top favorite questions on the state exam. Okay, so guaranteed renewability. Guaranteed insurability. We have guaranteed renewability too, right? That's right here, renewable term. That guarantees that they'll renew your term from one point to another 10 years. But the guaranteed insurability is telling me that I can purchase more insurance. So I'm just gonna study the right answer now. Because I'm in teaching mode, I will tell you that there's a provision that will waive premiums in the event of total disability. What do we call that? We call the waiver of premium, right? We also have access a portion of the death benefits while you are living. That's a good answer when the question is telling me about a living rider or accelerated death benefit. So this was called waiver of premium. Words mean what they say. And then the next one that we see is actually a rider that is called a living need rider. Or they might call it accelerated death benefit. And this is an actual feature that is provided in a policy because someone was diagnosed with a terminal illness. So you went and contacted the insurance company, and the insurance company said, okay, go visit one of our doctors. And if the doctor says, yep, they are terminal, they'll probably end up dying in the next 6 months, next year, maybe 2 years, then while you're still living, the insurance company's gonna give you a percentage of your death benefits. You don't have to be dead in order for them to pay. This is a new feature that was introduced in late 1990. It's not on the test, it's just gossip, but I want to let you know that this is something that they'll throw at you at the examination, and it gets tricky because it's not just one name. With your luck, the name you don't like, that's the one they're gonna give you. You gotta know though that if it's living need benefit, I need cash because I'm terminal, I have a serious illness. Or accelerate death benefit, oh, that's when they're gonna accelerate the death benefit to pay out when I'm still living. And then it's totally awesome because after I die, my family gets the balance. They brought this in existence to prevent this over here happening. Because there were investment people that were coming together and kind of approaching you saying, hey, if you're terminal and you need money, you know, why don't you sell your life away? We'll gladly buy it from you. And you know, back then when AIDS was going on, a lot of people had insurance, but they didn't have enough to come and take out a loan to maybe cover treatments or, you know, have some cash to dispose of till the day they died. So the insurance companies in late 1990 decided that they were gonna try to remove or reduce the number of transactions where investors were coming together and buying your life insurance policy for pennies on the dollar. It was highway robbery. You had a $500,000 policy. If you're lucky, they bid $50,000. And sometimes because of lack of knowledge, they use your own money to buy you out, right? Lack of knowledge. So the state became proactive in 2010 and brought into existence what we call a life settlement broker. All of you, once you've been licensed for 1 year, can grow up to be a life settlement broker. As a life settlement broker, you're gonna help people sell their life away to investors for the right amount, because that's your job. You're gonna charge the consumer money to give them a higher offer, benefit on their life insurance policy, which in theory, you really don't need to, because if the person is terminally ill, they could go straight to their insurance policy and tell the company, I'm terminally ill, I have a serious illness that I should end up dying in the next year or 2 years, right? And so now when you go to the company, you don't need to sell your life insurance policy, because that living benefit is gonna pay a higher death benefit while you're living than what these investors would actually end up doing. So kind of interesting that we think life is just for dying. No, it's not. There's other features, and this is one feature that has no expiration date and no charge. It's on the house, because we don't want people to be using life insurance as an investment, an investment product. You know, buy your life insurance and then you can turn it for cash. You can sell it to investors. It's like, that's a violation. It's considered an unfair trade practice for you to ever encourage people to buy life insurance so they can turn it into cash later on. Okay, they buy life insurance because they want to protect their family, right? Not because they want to turn around and sell it, which you get paid twice. But you know, for your test, it's called STOLI, Stranger Originated Life Insurance. Is literally saying a person that has no financial interest is taking possession of a life insurance policy on the life of another person. It's like, that's not how insurance is designed for. Life insurance is designed to allow people to buy insurance on their own life and give the policy benefits to whoever they want, because beneficiaries don't have to have an interest. But in the same token, the actual life insurance policy could be transferred over to another person, but not for a fee to make profit, because it's a social device that's designed to indemnify the financial loss you leave behind for when you die. And so in chapter 1, we talk about the insurable interest. Now, the number 3 answer, which you'll have a question that will tell you that's the right answer, is your accidental death benefit. Your accidental death benefit is an actual feature that most agents never call it accidental death, but they call it double indemnity, right? So in other words, every single answer in this question is a correct answer. This is where we get dangerous. I've got the right answer, but the wrong question. So please make sure that as you study the answer that's been highlighted, that's already been highlighted for you, but your job is to highlight what are you gonna use to connect the answer with the question. Because if this question number 3 had waiver of premium, then the answer would have been number 1, right? If it had living need or accelerated death benefit, then the answer would have been number 2. And if it had accidental death, the answer would have been number 3. This is where we make you dangerous, because we tell you when you take the test, you always start with what you're gonna get graded on. You never get graded on the question, you get graded on the right answer. So we went literally, not because we were bored, but because we discovered that if you actually study with the end in mind, you'll be able to instantly coordinate the right answer with the question, instead of reading the question 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, understanding the question, and then exposing yourself to all these wrong answers would make you dangerous. We want you to just focus on what you need to connect. Your job is to figure out the key inside the question that makes sense to you to connect it to the right answer, right? So be proactive, engage your brain. Your brain, by the way, cannot handle you telling it that term is the right answer. It needs to know to what. And it's like, oh, I'm so glad you asked. It's because a person has low income and have high insurance needs. Of course, that would have to be term, right? If someone wants to have a flexible premium and get a current interest rate on their policy, then that would be universal life. If someone wants fixed guaranteed coverage for their whole entire span of life, that would be whole life. If a person wants to have money by the time they turn 65, that's called an endowment. An endowment is kind of like in the middle of term and whole life. But with endowment, you'll always have a time factor. So like an example would be, you just got yourself a 20-year endowment. By the way, this is one of the most expensive policies in the insurance industry. They give you the highest commission, but they're not the best policies in town. And the reason is that you pay way too much money. So assuming that you're a 30-year-old, you are insured for till age 50, this policy is gonna collect premiums that are gonna come and cover the cost of insurance. Because let's say you bought $100,000 policy, right? So anytime you die during the 20 years, the company will pay $100,000. That's what whole life does. But at the end of the 20 years, if you have not died, the insurance policy is gonna cut you a check for $100,000. So as you pay premiums in, some of it went to the cost of insurance, but the other chunk of the cash was going into the cash value account, because they made a promise that in 20 years the policy would endow, meaning it would pay out. So the goal to endowment is for you to live to get the cash. The goal for whole life is for your family to get the cash. But if you don't die by 100, it's gonna do exactly the same thing as an endowment does. Now, a whole life for 100,000 for a 30-year-old that's gonna be insured till age 100, their premiums would be much, much, much lower than the premiums of a 30-year-old that's promising to have them get 100,000 by the age of 50. So my premiums for this policy would probably run me about $95,000 of hard-earned cash in premiums that I would pay for the policy. So it's like a ripoff. And to make things worse, if you're age 50 and you got the cash, you're also gonna get the tax. You're not gonna get the tax on this, because that was your premium. That's what we call your cost basis, also known as the exclusion ratio. So we're going to exclude the percentage of premium you paid into the policy, which means you get a check for $100,000 and then you get a 1099 for $5,000 gain. That becomes taxable. And the truth be told, 20 years later, 100,000, no way, no how does it have the same purchasing power. Because back 20 years ago, 100,000 was much more worth than 20 years later, right? So no wonder nobody sells it. But it's still a test question that you need to know, which is actually a policy is gonna pay either you die within a stated number of years or at the end of the stated number of years if the insured is still living, right? So the goal of an endowment is that it's gonna pay either I die or I live. Hopefully it'll pay me. That's the purpose of the endowment. The endowment is, it's all about me getting paid. It's kind of like a forced savings account, but the benefit of that endowment is that if I die during the 20 years, the money, bless you, is tax-free for my bennies, right? It's taxable to me because my money made money, but it's tax-free for the benefits, because all life insurance policies are tax-free benefits. Usually we consider them non-taxable because we don't pay taxes on pain and suffering. We only pay taxes on the income we earn or on the assets our assets earn, right? So, or appreciate. So when we get the cash, that's when we get the tax, but only if it's paid to us. Life has always got that extra selling key aspect that it's always tax-free money. But it's also money that I can dispose of if I bought the insurance with a cash value, okay? So again, this is what I do because I'm studying. Tonight when you're at home, you're not gonna waste your time looking at the wrong answers. You're just gonna focus exactly on the right answer, and then your homework part is to figure out, how do I remember that term is the right answer in this case? How do I remember that the right answer is 150,000? Well, it says 150,000, and it says the person is now age 100, and they wanna know what would be the cash value. Well, it's supposed to be what the face amount of the policy was. So the policy's face amount was 150,000, and now the person is age 100. This cash value will be exactly what the policy was purchased for. Right? Make sense? Kind of easy. And ooh, check it out. We have the right answer here is extended term. Why is extended term the right answer? Because they're asking exact. So extended term is not an actual rider. Okay, but I do need you to remember that extended term is what we would call a non-forfeiture option. A non-forfeiture option says you can have, this is non-forfeiture, by the way. Visualize it, that this is an insurance policy, this is the insurance protection, this is the cash value. So if you do the cash surrender, they're gonna surrender your cash because you're gonna terminate the policy. Like, I surrender, I quit, right? So what are you quitting? You're quitting the premiums, therefore they're gonna surrender your cash, right? Cash surrender terminates the policy, okay? You could do a loan, automatic premium loan. You could actually use your cash in here to keep the policy going with interest, because it is a loan, right? You could do a reduced paid up. And reduced paid up, it's kind of like downsizing. So Michael's house is worth 1.5 mil, but he has to keep on making mortgage payments. He's had his home for 10 years. So he decides to downsize his home that he has in Marin, right? Or some different place that has lower value in property.
Yeah.
Where? Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pittsburgh, yeah.
Yeah, so, so what is it called, what's another place over there? I don't know, I'm not very familiarized. You know, like here in San Jose, I have a home in Los Gatos, and I downsized to get a home paid in full in Los Baños, right? My house in Los Baños is gonna be paid in full, but it's gonna have a reduction in the original value that I had for my, of course, Los Gatos home. So my home is in Marina, it's worth 1.5, but now I went and used the money, the equity from my policy, I used it to buy a house in Brentwood, right? Much lower cost in property values, but no more mortgage payments, right? So reduced, and it's paid up. I still have a whole life. I still have a home that has equity, but the value of my home has been reduced, and it's awesome because it's paid in full. And I didn't get any cash, so there's no tax. Because hopefully I'll die sometime. If I'm not dead at age 100, then I'll get the cash, cash and tax, right? Or I could just go, thousands and thousands of people have bought insurance with cash value. They lose their job, life gets in the way, and they stop paying premium. And they have no idea what the heck they had. So all that cash that they have, the insurance company says, no news is good news. So what they do is they use the cash to extend the time of insurance protection. That's what extended term does. Literally, they extend the amount of protection, so in case you die during that time and someone tells us, we will pay. And you didn't have to pay anything because we used your equity. A little bit different than the loan feature. Because in the automatic premium loan, we're charging you interest. So your money's gonna be depleted faster. Because when you don't pay the interest, it compounds. So that's ugly, right? So best if I didn't say what I wanted with my equity, with my cash values to be done, is for us to put you under an extended term option. There's 4 options that you have when you have cash, okay? And so check it out. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap this up. So guaranteed is a rider, waiver of premium is a rider, and accidental death. Those are all, by the way, very, very, very common riders. Not only in real life, but on the state exam. They're favorites for the state exam. And I know waiver of premium is when they waive my premiums because I'm totally disabled, right? Words kind of mean what they say. I just have to remember, why would they waive my premiums? Oh, I'm disabled, right? I can't go to work. Accidental death, oh, that's when they say if I die by accident, my family gets double, right? Now, if I don't get killed in the accident immediately, it's okay because I might be in an intensive care unit. I have to make sure that either I make it or I break it. In other words, I die within 90 days of the accident. Okay, so you know what that means, right? Your husband has an accident and he's rushed into intensive care. You give him plenty of time to recuperate, but in the meanwhile, you start a countdown. If on the 89th day, he's not gonna look like he's gonna get better, that's when you go visit him, you accidentally trip over the wire, and then you file within the 90 days. Why do you wanna do that? Because if you give him more time, he dies on 91 or 92 days, you only get the face amount of the policy. But if you manage to help him get to that final date of destination within the 90-day period, as a result of the accident, that's gonna give you the double indemnity, right? Because he died from the accident. This is where we find out. I thought an accident was an accident, unexpected, unforeseen, something that was not intended, right? Well, in the insurance industry, we have definitions for accidents. So we'll cover that there's accidental means spelled out in the policy, and then there's accidental injury spelled out in the policy, and cheaper is not better, okay? So when you have accidental means, just to plant it in your brain, they're really mean, because they question, how did the accident happen? Well, they went skydiving. Wait, that's not accidental. Well, what do you mean? Everybody goes skydiving or bungee jumping. They don't mean to kill themselves, but they had a choice. So under accidental means, if you're expecting the company to pay double indemnity, think twice. They're not gonna pay double indemnity when you chose to go bungee jumping. I mean, hello, you should have expected that you might break your neck, which means you had control of the accident. So we're not gonna pay the double indemnity. I mean, your dad will pay the face amount, but we're not gonna do the double indemnity choice, right? It's like, no, you don't meet the definitions defined in the policy. And it's all about what the policy says. Because if the policy says accidental injury, they'll see that there's an injury. They don't ask how or why. So accidental injury is so much better than accidental means. I think that's why our auto policies are so expensive, because they use the accidental injury. So in other words, they don't ask, how did you get into the accident, right? It's not because I was texting. It was because I accidentally didn't stop on time. And then the accidental injuries that I caused to myself or to third parties are actually covered. But in the accidental death benefit feature, it's extra money I pay. So in the event I end up dying from that accident that was not within my control, my family gets the double indemnity. It's a double impact. Not only do you die on them, but it was unexpected and unforeseen. So it's fair that the family should get double the indemnity. But you have to see the policy, Cause cheaper is never, never, never better, I guarantee you. If you see a policy that gives you an accidental death benefit, check the definition of what accident is defined as. It's amazing. It's like, check the definition what total disability is. Cause there's like 4 different definitions for total disability that you need to know, right? So total disability, always when we're talking about total disability, it's your inability to show up to work, okay? It's not your ADLs. ADLs is inability to be self-sufficient, right? That does not waive my premiums because I lost my activities of 2 daily living. That's long-term care that's in existence. So we will come and talk about a lot of stuff. And then of course we've got, the answer is low premiums and no cash value. And so did you notice how I don't have anything bold-faced, but I can automatically look at the answer and recognize the right answer? That's the goal, to be able to look at the answer and know that low premiums and no cash value is a characteristic of term insurance. Now, I have not gone to the extent of reading the explanations. If you don't connect with the answer and the question together, then use the explanation to help you tie in why is extended term the right answer, right? And it says extended term was part of a non-forfeiture option. It was not a part of something you pay extra money. Because remember, riders usually will have you pay extra money, right? The extended term, it's the money is being used to extend the protection so you don't forfeit your cash values, type of speaking. Now, it's so tempting to go to the next page. Do not do the next page until you first go to the first page. So you're gonna introduce a page, you're gonna go and reinforce the page. So I know absolute assignment goes with biatical. It's a provision that allows the transfer of a policy. I know that that level death benefit with an increase of premium has to be renewable term. I know that if I can purchase additional insurance regardless of my insurability, that's the guaranteed insurability option. Like, duh, the answer's in the question. I know that term was the right answer because there was a person that had low income, high insurance needs. I know 150 is the right answer because the question is saying 150, but more important, the person has now turned to age 100. And I know extended term was not did not belong with the rider categories. And I know low premiums and no cash value is term. So now I took a bite and then I chewed on it. I reinforced the information. So I now go to the next page, and as I go to the next page, I want to come and bring into existence what's the right answer. So the company will make payments until the juvenile reaches a specified age, usually either 21 or 25, see policy, okay? But if you have age specified, well, that's the best answer. But if you're taking the test and they tell you 2 numbers, and then they tell you age specified, always go for age specified. If they make you choose a number of 21 or 25, and you have only either 21 or 25, you don't have age specified, then go for the age that you were given. That's kind of a tricky one. But most likely, they'll try to trick you by giving you the 2 numbers, and then the answer says as specified. So the age specified is the best answer, because really what it boils down to is C policy. Yes, you have a question?
No,
Oh.
so sorry. So sorry. Sorry, Laura.
No worries. And of course, they tell you that it's for a key employee to purchase the business. No. There we go. Right. To cover decreased business earnings due to the death of a key employee. Well, this is key employee, so we're getting connected to. But there's key employee here too. Oh man, there's key employee here. But this is what is the purpose of keep life insurance? There's my key. This is key person life insurance is to cover the decreased business earnings due to the death of that valuable employee. That's what key person is. This is not for the retired employees or the ability to purchase the business of the employee. Key person is to make sure that when you, as an employee that adds substantial value to the company dies, the company will have enough money to wait till they find the perfect key employee to replace you, right? So key employees are instrumental. And then we have, of course, a couple of right answers. So we have blackout, that's a social security term, when you're either too old as a widow, no, too young as a widow to get money, or you're actually not entitled to receive social security benefits. I call it you're either too young or too old. Too young because I'm a widow, too old because I'm a dependent. So under social security, you have income replacement when the individual, the person who has died, has social security benefits and has been paying money into the system. So in order to leave money for your family under that system, you have to have, and here's the key point, 6 credits out of the last 13 quarters means that you only have survivor benefits. Survivor benefits are for your children under the age of 18 or your widow age 60 or older. As a matter of fact, the widow gets money from 60 to 65. Once she turns or he turns 65, they go into Social Security retirement benefits. Now, the retirement benefits are only provided if you have achieved at least 40 work credits under Social Security, which is funny because a lot of us are working, we get a paycheck, and in our paycheck we have what they call FICA contribution. And FICA contribution is really Social Security collecting money from your paycheck for retirement benefits, for survivor benefits, for disability income benefits, and now they even have a Medicare tax. Yeah. So Social Security, for every quarter that you work and you make over $8,000 in the quarter, they're gonna classify you as earning a work credit. So the total work credits you can earn in 1 year is 4. In order to have any and all of the benefits under Social Security, you have to have 40 work credits. In this case, they're saying that the person only had achieved 6 work credits in the last 13 quarters. So what is the benefit that they'd actually, or what's the classification they're identified as? They're identified as currently insured, which basically means the only benefit that Social Security is providing his family is survivor benefits. Don't you dare think that you're gonna get disability income benefits just because you're disabled. You have to be at least 20 work credits insured, which is not on the test, okay? But what is on the test is 6 in the last 13, which goes with currently insured, yay. And how do you achieve fully insured status? You have to have 40 work credits. In other words, we have to work a minimum of 10 years or have at least the 40 work credits on record, because I might not have worked the 10 years, right? I worked 2 years and then I went to college and then I went and decided to have a baby and I stopped working. My work credits are still there. So I go back to work when the kid is 4 years old or 5 years old. Now I'm back into the system, I'm paying money. So as soon as I get the 40 work credits, I would be completely considered fully insured. It does not mean I am done paying into the system. I'm gonna pay into the system as long as I'm working in the system, alright? So I'm retired, I go back to work, I get a paycheck, I get to contribute into Social Security because they need the money from everyone that works, right? So there's no such thing as that at a certain point, once I have 40 work credits, I'm done paying into the system in your dreams, right? Sometimes, because you've made more than $170,000, you're gonna notice that in your paycheck, there is no FICA contribution. Why? Because you've paid in the maximum, right? So the maximum contribution that your income will be subject to Social Security funding will be up to the first 170,000. So yay, you've made 170,000 in August, in October. You're gonna see that for a few months, you're not gonna get any FICA. You'll see Medicare tax, that never goes away no matter how much you make, but you will no longer see a contribution deduction under FICA once you've earned a total, or you've been taxed on a total of 170,000. I remember when I started working, it was the first 70,000 that was subject to contribution. Notice how inflation, how life changes, right? So as I